Santa Fe Public Schools podcast. I am Joe Abeta, and I'd like to welcome our attendance coaches from the Family and Community Engagement Office, Oscar Chavez and Kendrick Nichols. How are you guys doing today?
We're pretty good.
Doing well. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
today.
No, thank you guys so much. I know you guys have been a part of the community for a very long time here in Santa Fe, especially Santa Fe Public Schools community as attendance coaches. Let's first talk about what is an attendance coach. What, if you can let folks know if they've never heard that term before.
Well, pretty much what we do is we support all school sites, staff, admin staff, teachers, secretaries, counselors. We just support them with attendance efforts. Pretty much, basically, we're kind of the middleman, if you will say, as far as contacting families for school sites that we assign to, contacting our community partners that we kind of work with that kind of help us re-engage students back into the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically the main thing for us is to re-engage these students back into the classroom. A lot of people think that we're just, labeled truancy officers, as one would say, but we're attendance coaches, and that's our main priority is to re-engage the student back into the school, as well as trying to engage with these families and try to support them in any way that we need. People, they feel like we're here to just get the student, I guess, quote unquote, in trouble. Mm-hmm. But really, we're trying to help them in any way that we can. And like Hendrik said, we're trying to use our outside sources as much as we can just to help these families, just because a lot of families sometimes their pride doesn't allow them to reach out.
Yeah.
But if you reach out and you open up, your heart and all that stuff, they're willing to work with us, but you have to get them engaged with us.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's probably a stigma kind of with the parents of like, you guys of being truant officers, of going to the arcade, going to Jets down at Via Linda and hey, aren't you supposed to be in school type of thing? And it's not like that. It's really, it's turned into truly coaches and to say, hey, what is it? What's the reasons why you guys are not in school, and what can we do to help you out? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just pretty much lending that offering that hand to the families, especially because, we talk about it all the time with our team. Majority of the families are struggling, especially with unstable housing and jobs. We have a lot of. For myself, I deal with a lot of families where you see a single parent, whether it's a mom or a dad, and they're taking on 2 or 3 jobs, trying to find a way to get their kiddo to school, things like that. So again, like Oscar said, we're just trying to lend that helping hand to these families.
How long does it take, like for you, or does it take a family to understand that you're here to help out and you're here to assist, not to penalize?
It takes several attempts, to be honest. Usually that first phone call, parents try to, give you a lot of excuses for why the student has missed school.
Yeah.
And because they think you're trying to, get them in trouble.
Yeah.
And you're trying to intervene in their lives and make it hard for them. But in reality, when you're trying to break it down to them that, we're here to help you. We're here, what services can we get to? That's kind of when they start to open up with you and they're like, oh, okay. And then, once you get them into the office and you're able to sit down with them and you're able to, get a better read on them and they're able to see you and, you're able to communicate with them in person, that's, it's usually a couple phone calls and a parent meeting in person, as well as getting your school counselors involved, your admin team involved. So that way that connection with the family, it's starting to, they're starting to connect with the school more and they're not, feeling left out and kind of just like, oh, my student's going to be forgotten because they're not coming to school. Now we're trying to mesh that bond.
Yeah. What do you guys feel like are the main reasons? I know you guys have different, you serve different parts of the community, but what is the main reason for absenteeism in today's world?
We could touch on different areas.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I cover Santa Fe High, Mandela, and Eco.
Yeah.
So for example, students at Santa Fe High, the majority of them are going to be driving by the time they're sophomores. So a lot of them have that freedom of just, of just driving themselves and waking up on their own. And I tell the students all the time, coming to, a school like Santa Fe High, that's bigger than some junior colleges campuses around the nation.
Yeah.
You're left with a lot more responsibility than just coming to school. Now you have to learn how to walk from building to building, kind of like a college set. And that's kind of one of the things is kids feel like they have so much freedom and that they're not going to get caught and that they're going to go under the radar. And that's our job, is to, notify the parents, hey, student so-and-so isn't here today. They've been missing quite a few morning classes. And they're like, oh, wait, they drive to school. That's one of the things that we do see is, kids try to pull fast ones on their parents. And just, and I know it's going to be one like Kendrick's going to bring up, it's going to be transportation for some of these families.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation for them. And that's when we try to get our sources involved. We try to connect them with Adelante and all these other resources that can get them that help. But it is things simple like that.
So it's just a matter, it's kind of like when I was in high school at Santa Fe High, we had an open campus and we would leave at noon and go down to Albuquerque and play basketball, or, go down to the Pistol Pete's for some pizza buffet or something like that, right? So is it majority of that? And then there's the exceptions, right? That it's something else at the household. It's not just teenage tomfoolery going, and just saying, hey, let's ditch class.
Yeah, it's a mix of all of it. Like you said, now Santa Fe High is a closed campus. Only seniors that are done after lunch, they don't have classes after lunch, they can leave now. It used to be open campus. Yeah. And that would be a big issue is, how are we going to have these 16, 17-year-old students walk off campus, go get lunch, and expect them to be back? Right? Yeah. And that's, it's like I just said earlier, that's when I let them know, you have a lot of responsibility now. You're starting to be a young adult. Yeah. I tell a lot of my students, you're closer to 18 than you are 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And once you turn 18, your job's not going to be calling your parents to say, hey, Johnny didn't come to work today. We got to have a meeting. No, they're going to start, writing you up, firing. I give all these explanations to my students because they're the high school kids. So I'm able to do that more with them and open their eyes up. Yeah. It's life lessons, right? Exactly. And that's what I tell them, we're not just preparing you for algebra and, science. And, no, you're being prepared for more in life, like showing up on time, going from class to class on time, Yeah. And they don't really see that until, and I'm sure their parents tell them, but, we were all 15, 16-year-olds. I wouldn't listen to our parents. And when it came from another adult, that's when you open your eyes like, oh, okay. Yeah. No, I gotcha. Mm-hmm. Kendrick, what about you? You serve a different, is it age level, grade level, correct?
Yeah, I'm more with the middle school with Milagro, the two community schools with Gonzales and Nino Otero, as well as a K-5 at Ramirez Thomas. Okay. And it's kind of different for me than the Oscar situation, especially with Ortiz, for example, a middle school, so 6th, 7th, to 8th grade. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times that I've seen the attendance issues stem from is living instabilities, parents needing extra resources. Mm-hmm. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of the parents that I do deal with are single parents. Mm-hmm. You do have a handful that are couple, but for the most part are single parents. Yeah, working 2 and 3 jobs just to try and keep up with the economy. Yeah, try and provide a roof over their head, and a lot of times in situations, especially because that middle school age, that 12, 13, 14-year-old age is kind of where, as a parent, especially when you're a single parent and you have to go to work and things like that, you're kind of putting that trust on your kid to make sure they get to school when, these kids now, sometimes they'll say they missed the bus, and from there now, mom or dad is at work, can't leave work to get them to come to school. Also, a lot of times with transportation, especially those kiddos who might not be zoned for the school, but they're still enrolled, and now they're struggling with transportation. They can't get a bus pass to get to school. So that's kind of more what I see, especially with the younger kids. Of course, you do still have the very few that kind of test their parents a little bit. Yeah, exactly. They will get to school, but kind of ditch and things like that, hang out in the bathroom. But for the most part, especially on the south side, I do see a lot of just the parents just needing extra support outside of just them going to work, a helping hand from us.
So, I mean, like with that, you have kids that are missing the bus maybe on purpose or not getting there on time or just kind of like time management type stuff. What is it that you guys do? I mean, as far as like for middle school kids, and you're reaching out to them saying, or the parents saying, hey, why isn't, your student getting here? And it's, well, because they're missing the bus on purpose or something like that. What kind of support do you offer for that?
Well, in those situations, especially if a kid is zoned for a school, for myself, if they're zoned and I know they have a bus pass and it's a situation like that where a parent is leaving that trust with them and they do tell their parent that they missed the bus and things like that, I'll do a uplift outreach, and what they'll do is kind of go contact the parent, let them know, hey, we're offering these services. We just want to kind of talk to your kiddo, see why they're missing school, why they're missing the bus. Is there anything going on within the school that's keeping them away from coming?
Gotcha.
Is it problems in the classroom? Are you having problems with a kid? Is it something with the teacher? Are you not understanding the curriculum?
Yeah.
Try and find out all those little things first to see now if we can kind of help from there. Because a lot of times it is, especially with the younger kids, you find a lot of kids that do have situations that are uncontrollable outside of the school setting and that they can't even control because they're still 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And their parents, say, for example, something might happen and their parents keep them away from school just because they can't get them there because, again, something could happen, whether it's moving or things like that. But the kiddo doesn't feel a lot of times welcome back in the classroom setting.
Gotcha.
Not because of the teacher, but just because of the fact that they might have missed a week and a half, 2 weeks of school. So now they feel that they're left behind with the curriculum and they're trying to catch up, which is understandable from a kid standpoint, but then also it's understandable from a teacher standpoint where you have 25 other kids in the class. You got to keep going. And it's kind of hard to try and navigate with trying to get one kid caught up while keeping another 25, 30 kids that's in the class on pace. And I think one thing that we do is when we talk, we always have a session at the beginning of the school year with our school sites where we talk to all the staff at our school sites for a quick meeting, give them a quick presentation. And one thing we do harp on in the presentation is just try and have some sort of action plan in place for when a kiddo is reengaged back into the classroom.
Gotcha.
Just so they can feel comfortable. Because once they feel comfortable, a kid feels comfortable, myself, Oscar, the rest of our team, I know we all tell our families that the school setting is probably one of the safest places that your kiddo could be in during the day.
Yeah. No, that's true. What do you guys feel is like the well, let's just talk about the services that are out there. Let's talk about the support. You talk about, was it the Youth Uplift? Is that what? So tell us a little bit about that. What is that?
So Youth Uplift, New Mexico, it's rebranded from Teen Court, from the county. And like we were talking about a little bit earlier off air. They have a lot of great, things that they can do for families, counseling to help these families, just helping them all around with, simple things, just needs, and helping them also get other sources. It's not just, they contact you and that's it. No, they contact you to set up an intake, and in that intake, they just go through everything that they can to help you. Yeah. And it's a really great resource that we use. It's kind of like our first line of defense that we use, of course, to get the students re-engaged. And families, when they kind of take it for what it's worth, you kind of see the student re-engage back into our schools. Yeah. And then there's unfortunately there is those students that don't, and we have to get juvenile probation involved, and that's kind of the last step that we do is juvenile probation, and they do what they need to do with the students. Just like we said, there's so many other sources as well, like in the schools, we use Adelante a lot. They're really great with helping our families, that need, just home services. They need help getting, food, clothing. Yeah. Especially like communities and schools. I know it's not in every school, but like at Santa Fe High, Tommy Rodriguez does a great job with food drives. Yeah. Just simple things like that. Because, every student is different on why they're missing school. And that's our job, is to find out why. And
pinpoint exactly what it is.
And not blame the family, but try to help them. Yeah. Like at the high school, I'm going to touch a little bit on what Kendrick said with single parent households. Yeah. Some of those single parent households have older siblings at the high schools that are working to help their families.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, unfortunately, how are we going to tell a student, you got to come to school? You can't be helping your family.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's just the hand those students were dealt. So we got to help them either graduate, or we got to help, you know, give them another option, you know, give them that, those other options for schooling, such as online and even going and getting a GED. You know, a lot of people are like, I don't want a GED, but it's like, but it's going to still help you in the future. You can still, you know, go to like a trades program or a college with it. It's just a different route. You know, everyone has a different route to graduate. And that's our job, is to help them, you know, get an education, to be able to be successful after school as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you can't be successful without an education, of course, but, you know, we're just here to help them, you know, try to see that in, you know, and I tell the students that are working to help their families, you know, some of them work at McDonald's, they work at these fast food restaurants, you know, they work at like tire shops, you know, all these other mechanic shops and all that good stuff. And I tell them, you know, do you want to work in that position forever, or do you want to eventually maybe, you know, be a manager at a restaurant, run your own mechanic shop, you know, all these things, you know, but unfortunately to do those, you kind of need an education.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's also for me, especially at the high school, you know, showing kids that there's other routes outside of just going to a traditional university. Kind of like there's other routes than just going to a traditional high school. You know, when I tell kids, you go to a trade school, their eyes light up and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, but you have to finish high school first.
Well, and it's interesting too, because the tradition part of it, right? Was you go to high school, you graduate, then you go to college or you do something else, right? But and that's not the way life is. That's not the way today's world is like that. It's not like that at all. But the fundamental part of it is like you need to get a GED, or you need to graduate with a diploma, because that's going to open the door a lot more than if you don't, right? And then there are the grinders, the ones that, you know, are hustling and whatnot, but it's a little bit tougher, right?
Yeah.
And to have the support, you're never going to have it. I don't want to say you'll never have the support again, as far as like helping you get an education and getting to that goal, but you probably are not going to have that goal, you know, that support at a college or something like that, right? Where you're having one-on-ones and they say, hey man, I noticed that you're struggling in math, or you're not going to your math class. You know, it's really just like, well, you didn't show up. We're not going to call you and see, hey, why didn't you go to that's a very specialized school, a very expensive school in college is calling you, asking you why that's happening. So I think that, you know, just making that point, you're right. It's non-traditional now, but you need to let them know that, and that's good that you guys are there. How many attendance coaches are there in SFPS?
5 total. Myself, Oscar, Vicente,
Evelyn,
and
Jackie, and then Bernadette helps us out as well.
Bernadette. So 6, But Bernadette also, she oversees the safety net program that we have for kiddos who do transfer out of the district. But that don't complete the paperwork. We just put them in the safety net. That way we can keep tabs on them until we finally figure out if they transfer to another school district, if they moved out of the state, things like that.
So you guys are assigned specific students. They're kind of like, they're the ones that you oversee, right? I mean, like you're working with them in a coaching type of sense, or
how it starts off too is at the beginning of the school year, because we do work on a tier system, which is 4 tiers as far as the attendance is concerned through the state law. So when we get to tier 1, that's kiddos. Was it to 5%, up to 5%? Of attendance, 5% of attendance missed throughout the school year. Typically, it's probably like a day out of the month each month. But when we step in, it's kind of we're that tier 3, because at each school site we do have an attendance team set up, and that consists of admin staff at the school site as well as faculty members, counselors, things like that. That kind of give us updates weekly or biweekly on which student that they might need help with once they did their outreach. And so we kind of step in like that tier 3. That's when you start to get into the chronic absenteeism in that tier 4 level.
So for the folks listening out there and watching too, because watching right now, what would you consider chronic absenteeism? Like where does the alarm sound for you guys as far as kids not showing up to school? Is it once a month? Is it twice a month? Is it 3 times a month? Is it consecutive days? I mean, I'm sure it's all that, but what is it that you're like, oh, the alarm's on, we need to intervene. What's going on here?
Consecutive. I think it's consecutive days without.
Like how many?
Anywhere from
It starts at 3, 5, and 7. And
Okay.
then
yeah, but
10.
once it gets to 7, I think that's when especially when there's no
Consecutive 7 days.
yeah, but it's in those situations if we don't have any contact. I know
Gotcha.
for the younger students, for example, K through 5, you might run it. You might say a student is chronically absent, missing 7 days, but you find out that they just went on a family vacation, and then you look at the history of the attendance,
And they didn't report it.
right? And
Exactly.
they just didn't call. But then for us, especially, and this is kind of where our job really kicks in. Say if a school site brings a student to our attention that say, "Hey, this kiddo's missed 6, 7 days." Their teacher reached out, didn't get any contact, and then when we look and we can see their history, we can see any comments made from staff members in the past, and you notice it's attendance here, attendance here, attendance, and they have those pockets where they're consistently missing 5 days. Then they'll show up for 2 or 3 days, then they're missing another 5, 6 days, and it's nothing on record of a doctor's appointment,
Gotcha.
vacation, anything. That's when we kind of sets that alarm for us, like, okay, this is a kid now, we need to step in, maybe ourselves do outreach to the parent, see if we could bring them in for a meeting and
Gotcha.
try and figure out why are those pockets are showing up where they are missing those stretches.
And you guys can just tell just based on stuff because you've seen patterns, right?
Yeah.
And so okay, yeah, we know what may be going on over here.
Exactly. And then like Kendrick was saying, it's a little more difficult at his level with the younger kids. Like at the high school level, they'll be just ditching one class consecutively for like 2 weeks.
So it may be a combination of they're showing up to school, but they're missing second period constantly.
exactly.
Why is that? Right.
Exactly. And then you sit down, you call home, and that's when the parents are like, oh, wait, they're missing second period. And then you talk to the student, oh, I don't like that teacher. Of course, that's number one.
They have issues with a student that's in the classroom.
And then
Gotcha.
And then when there's problems with like the teacher or student, we have restorative justice with Miss Mary Louise that she can help out with that.
Let's talk about that.
And, and that's an amazing thing as well that I see a lot of teachers utilizing now. Especially at the high school level when 2 students are like in an English class and something just happened and now they're both suspended, they got to come back. And unfortunately, you have to sit in that same English class with that student.
Yeah.
And, the schools utilize Miss Mary Louise quite a bit with the restorative justice. It's great to watch her work with these young adults, talk their problems out. And sometimes you end up seeing these students become really good friends throughout the school year. It's kind of funny.
Just a misunderstanding.
They don't like each other for the first couple weeks of school. Something happens. They end up having to sit down, and they're pretty close to being similar to each other than they thought.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that can happen as well. And then also a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's just the same way, like I said, about parents having too much, not wanting to speak out and say they need help. Some students are the same way. One student may not understand, their math and English class as well. And, we have to be able to reach out to people in the schools that we need that, we can get them that help that they need. Santa Fe High offers tutoring after school on certain days. That's when we start, hey, you kind of have to step out a little bit more and do a little extra if you want to pass.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that, at the high school level we have to work with is not full days, is them just ditching certain classes and figuring out these patterns and how are you getting off campus? Where are you going? It's a safety thing as well, with so much going on in our society, just to make sure that these kids are safe as well on our campus. Cause we try to make it the safest place these students can go. And these parents trust us to basically be with us for, 8 hours a day, basically.
Majority of their time of the week, right?
And it starts with us on campus a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Teachers look at me a little, why with us? Well, because we're helping
extensions of the parents.
We're kind of helping mold these, young adults and young kids into, the adults are going to be in society with us one day.
In our community, yeah, they're going to be serving us. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I kind of try to do, more life lessons sometimes.
Yeah.
And people are like, but it's just the truth. I feel like when you're able to reach our students through more life lessons, as opposed to, belittling them and pointing the finger and just kind of putting them down, I feel like they open up more to you, and you get a better understanding of them, the family, the situations, and you're able to help them, as opposed to
being punitive about it.
You're not doing your job as a parent. You're not doing your job as a student.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, what do you need again?
Yeah.
And just real quick to piggyback off that with the parent situation for the younger kids, I know we offer another program. It's Parent Academy, which is a really good resources for the parents.
Yeah.
And it kind of just teaches them, how to navigate through technology, as far as if they want to check up on their kids' schoolwork, grades, things like that. And then through Parent Academy, they can ask questions there where they can get resources from the parent, for the parent themselves, not just resources for the kiddo.
Yeah.
Just to help them navigate, with trying to make sure their kid is going to school, how they can help their kid outside of the school to make sure they're on top of their things like homework, school assignments. So we do offer that program. I definitely think it's beneficial, especially for the younger kid parents, because, especially kindergarten, first graders, second graders. Sometimes you got a parent who's a first-time parent, is still trying to figure out and navigate through life with jobs and things like that. So that's just another program that we kind of offer too as well.
Because we're short on time, I wanted to ask you guys, so where can parents do a little bit more research? Do they go to the public schools website, or is there a phone number, or is it an email, or how can they, if they're listening to this and it's like, hey, I'd like to find some more information about this.
Definitely the website. And then even on the website, if you you can find our information, myself, Oscar, the other 4 attendance coaches, Bernadette, Jacqueline, Vicente, and Evelyn. You can even parents could ask the schools, their school site where their kid attends, who's the attendance coach.
Okay.
And then they'll give them our contact information. They can reach out to us, because I think one thing that parents, like at the beginning when you said we kind of, they think that we're the ones that's disciplining.
Yeah.
We're really the advocates for the families and the kids.
That's right.
We're the ones that at the school site where we have to sit down with the team at the school sites and just be like, hey, well, let's look at these situations and see how we can support versus trying to discipline.
Yeah.
So, just reaching out to your school, asking what's the contact information to my kids' attendance coach at their school, and they'll be more than happy to give it to them, and then reach out to us, and we can kind of give them different avenues in which they're looking to go down.
Gotcha. So for recapping then, if you want more information on this, you can go to our website at Santa Fe at sfps.info, and that would be under the Family and Community Engagement Office page, and you can find that at sfps.info, or contact your school and ask who your attendance coach is, and they can give you the information, the email, and they'll reach out back to you. So definitely cool. Guys, thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate it. You guys are doing some great work out there, and we appreciate that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yes, it's an honor to be here. Be able to speak out and, let these families know that we're here to help them more than anything else. That's all we're trying to do is,
that's important.
Is make our community better as much as we can, even if it's just one student a semester. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Is just trying to do our best.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Folks, thank you for joining us today. This has been Santa Fe Inside Santa Fe Public Schools podcast, and have a great week. Have a safe week. Adios.